Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, LeBron James finds himself in a mess again. And this time, I don't know how it's going to be easy for him to come out of it. As you guys know, we recently celebrated Martin Luther King Day. I believe it was on the 19th, if I'm not mistaken. And I was actually going to put up a post on the community section of the channel, but I forgot to do so. And it's a national holiday that day, right? Where you remember the life of one of the greatest Americans of all time, and Dr. Martin Luther King. We all know him. We all studied him in school, etc., etc. But it seems like LeBron James has gotten himself in a pickle here. And funny enough, the person that is calling him out is one of his biggest supporters on ESPN. Funny enough. The gentleman's name is David Dennis Jr. I'm sure some of you guys have seen him on First Take on multiple occasions. I think you've seen him on NBA Countdown. And he's a LeBron guy, through and through and through and through. So he posted a video, and funny enough, people had sent it to me, but I didn't watch it. I didn't pay attention to it. But he had posted a video that went viral on the internet where he was essentially calling out LeBron James and Nike, right? He was calling them out. What happened? So as you guys know, Nike and LeBron are partners, and they decided to do a special edition of LeBron James's shoes. And these shoes were meant to highlight the passing of Martin Luther King, and the colorway, I actually want to put it up for you guys, is the same color of the Lorraine Motel where he was assassinated. So as you see it here, if you go and look at the images of the Lorraine Motel, you'll see that they have the same coloring. And essentially what this gentleman is saying is that they're using the assassination of Martin Luther King, specifically the place he got assassinated, as a linchpin to market shoes. And he is not only calling out LeBron James, but he's also calling out Nike themselves. And it's bad, right? And his particular post that he put up got 600,000 views on Twitter. And a lot of people responded to it. So what we want to do now is we want to play his comments for you guys. I want you guys to listen to it in its entirety, listen to the points that he made, and then we're going to come back and continue with the show. Take a listen to his comments here.
Capitalism is going to get us all, I'm telling you. So LeBron James, Nike are releasing or unveiling today that they're releasing a shoe to commemorate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King by having a colorway that is taken from the Lorraine Motel, the place where Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, and slapping it on a Nike shoe and selling it for $210. Also on the shoe is a commemoration of LeBron James scoring 51 points in Memphis, because that moment in American history deserves to be on the same space as the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. There are so many other places that you can take colorways from to honor Dr. King. You can take places from Atlanta. Take Birmingham, Montgomery. What about Washington, D.C., where he delivered the I Have a Dream speech? The last place that I would think of would be the signage from where he was assassinated. Now, look, the Lorraine Motel has now been turned into the National Civil Rights Museum. It's a beautiful museum. I know a lot about it. I was there when it opened. Actually, I was 4 years old. It does a beautiful job of telling the story of Dr. King in those last days. And I encourage everybody to go. I do not encourage everybody to feel as though buying a $200 shoe of the signage of the Lorraine Motel is doing anything to honor anybody. It just feels like a tone-deaf situation from Nike, from LeBron, from all parties involved. And I think it's also important to note why Dr. King was in Memphis in the first place on the day that he was assassinated. He was there for the rights of sanitation workers, union workers, for their livelihood and their well-being, and to honor that by creating a shoe that is made from people who are suffering from, unjust labor laws and are forced to make these shoes is not really the way to go. But Dr. Martin Luther King was killed while trying to fight against the dredges of capitalism. There's nothing more capitalist than slapping Nike on a shoe on a color that sort of trivializes, not sort of, very much so trivializes one of the most gruesome murders in American history. Absolutely disgraceful move by all parties involved. I don't even know where the money's going. Is the money even going? Proceeds going in anywhere? Is it lying in people's pockets to say, hey, let's go. You got those new MLK Lebrons that show the place that he was killed, and to release it on MLK Day. This is just bad marks all around for everybody involved. Disgraceful, disgusting act. And I hope that they can figure out some sort of way to right this wrong.
Excellent. So you heard what he had to say. And even on the picture itself, you can see where he wrote, the LeBron MLK tribute shoe is shameful. And I just want to read through some of the comments. We don't have to put it up, but if we do, it's fine. It says, one viewer said, thank you for this. Another guy said, get your clout, bruh. They do a version of this every single year. NBA 10 MLK has been capitalized and sanitized day. Capitalism does this to every quote unquote holiday. Another guy said, so why y'all not upset with the museum/motel for doing the same? And he put up some imagery here. Another viewer said, so you're boycotting the museum with gift store that sells memorabilia year after year, or is this the hate specifically directed towards Nike and LeBron James? Another guy said, y'all had zero issues with this until Bron did it. Wonder why. Another guy said, yeah, you're reaching, bro. This has been a thing. And people just kept on going on and on and on and on and on and on. What are my thoughts about this? Well, LeBron fashions himself as a civil rights leader to a certain extent. So certainly a social activist, right? He's very conscious about social issues and he used to speak on them from time to time. But LeBron got himself in a pickle where he decided to go quiet when Daryl Morey made some comments about China a number of years ago. I think it was during was it the Olympics? I can't remember specifically what event it was. And LeBron James came out and chastised him, right? Because China and Nike are close partners, and LeBron is a Nike athlete. So the comments of Daryl Morey that he put out could jeopardize the relationship between the country and the company Nike, right? And a lot of people were like, wait a minute, you're always talking about rights and people being taken advantage of and all of that. But when we talk about the mistreatment of human people out here in China, you telling Daryl Morey to keep quiet. And LeBron lost a lot of people there. And in that moment, he looked like an opportunist that would just kind of look for certain things to put himself in front of. And then when you had situations that would affect him monetarily, he would remain quiet about it. Regarding this shoe, first of all, had this gentleman not put out this video, I wouldn't have known about it because I'm not really a sneakerhead and I certainly don't pay attention to LeBron James shoes. I guess him and Nike thought that this would be a good idea. Certainly the two of them signed off on it. Yes, they used Martin Luther King Day as a moment to make money. There's no two ways about it. You're selling shoes. You're trying to make money. He brought up another good point, which was what are going to be done with the proceeds of these shoes, the sales of these shoes? Are they going to be donated to charity? Or going to be donated to something that relates to some of the initiatives that Martin Luther King has, or people that are pushing some of King's agenda? We don't know. Right now, do I expect a response from LeBron and all this? No. Do I expect any media member to ask him about this? No. It's just not going to happen. Right? I just believe that this gentleman is just howling at the moon. No one is going to talk about it. No one is going to table this issue. And it is what it is. This is capitalism, and this is a capitalistic society. LeBron is a capitalist, and none of this really surprises me whatsoever. To be quite frank with you, most of the people that holler at Martin Luther King are nothing like Martin Luther King. So one of the biggest stories surrounding LeBron has been the All-Star Weekend, right? A lot of people have been talking about this. LeBron is not going to be a starter in the All-Star game for the first time in 21 seasons. People are weighing in on it. We even put up a poll yesterday because Mark Spears was saying something about Michael Jordan when Vince Carter gave up his spot for him in the All-Star game. And I said, well, And Vince has basically explained the reverence and respect that he had for Michael Jordan. That's the reason he did it. So I put up a poll, should an NBA player step up this year and give LeBron the starting position in the All-Star game? And about 90% of the people, I think we had about 6,000 votes. I could be wrong, 5,500, 6,000 votes. 90% of them said, hell no. Hell no. Some people even wrote, hell no. Hell no. People shouldn't give up their seats there for LeBron. And we did a show yesterday, a live yesterday, with the story, which is, while LeBron didn't wasn't a starter, Stephen Curry was. And we also found out that Stephen Curry has the #1 selling jersey in the NBA last year. The #1 selling jersey, Stephen Curry. Right? That says a lot about the popularity of Steph in the LeBron James era. Right? That really speaks volumes. Anyway, so this morning I was going through the internet looking for what to talk about. And I came across an article here from fadeawayworld.net with the following headline. And it says, LeBron James gets honest on potentially not being an all-star in 2026. I said, oh, word? So LeBron James himself is talking about this? I said, we got to talk about this. It says, Los Angeles Lakers superstar LeBron James saw one incredible streak of his end on Monday, and he wasn't named an all-star starter for the 2026 All-Star game. James has been voted a starter for a record 21 years in a row. And his media session after Tuesday's 115-107 win over the Denver Nuggets at Ball Arena, he was asked if he had any reaction to missing out on a spot. No, not at all, James said. James can still make it as a reserve, of course. The coaches will be voting for that, and the results will be announced February 1st. James asked if he'd like to be a part of the game at the Intuit Dome via that route, and he had a bit of an interesting response. I'm always grateful for sure, James stated. If I'm there, I'll be there in attendance. If I'm not, I know I'll be able to take full advantage of it. I know exactly what I'll be doing, so I'm good either way, right? What are my thoughts on LeBron's comments here, man? I think LeBron is saying, I don't care, man. I think people are putting a bigger emphasis on the All-Star game than LeBron James is. I think people think it's this big thing. I don't think LeBron cares about the All-Star game. People are acting like as if LeBron was like going hard in the paint in these All-Star games over the last 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you, 2 out of the last 3 All-Star games were the worst rated All-Star games in the history of basketball. LeBron was there. What happened at last year's All-Star weekend? What happened? LeBron showed up on Sunday, and when he was speaking to the media during his interviews, he then let the entire NBA world know that he wasn't going to play in the All-Star game. That's when everyone found out, including NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. He found out then and there. He announced it then, and he didn't even give him a heads up so they could go out there and try to make provisions to have someone replace him, like a Norman Powell or whoever else was eligible to be an all-star that year. He just said screw it, right? He just said screw it. So I feel like people are making more of a big. I don't think he cares about the All-Star game. To be quite frank with it, I think maybe he cares about it in terms of having All-Star selection on his resume. But in terms of starting, even if LeBron started, y'all think he's going to put forth an effort? Honestly, y'all think LeBron is going to go out there and put on a showcase? Of course not. Of course he wasn't. He was going to go through the motions like he does every single year. So people making this big deal out of, oh man, LeBron, he doesn't care. And I think what happened is the NBA fans kind of figured out like, well, if he doesn't care, why should we care? He's made it abundantly clear about his play and his behavior the last 2-3 years that he doesn't care. He doesn't care at all. I'll also say this, though. I do think he's a bit surprised at the fact he wasn't voted a starter. I'm surprised by it, given the fact of how much he's talked about, right? You have people that go around saying, man, you wouldn't have a YouTube channel. People are not going to have YouTube channels when he retires. And it turns out that Stephen Curry is the most popular player in the NBA. These are the facts. Stephen Curry is the most popular NBA player. I did the count yesterday. LeBron has about 200 million followers on Instagram and Twitter. Stephen Curry has about 70 million across both accounts. But you see more people buying Stephen Curry jerseys, and you see more people voting for him to be an all-star. I mean, it's not like it's an age thing. Stephen Curry's 37 years old, and he's being voted as a starter for bloody sake, for Pete's sake. as a starter. Now, some people say, well, LeBron has been voted. I mean, led the league in jersey sales so many times. Yeah, because he's also changed. LeBron has 3 jerseys, man. So whenever you change teams, you're going to see a spike in jersey sales. That's why you saw Luka Doncic had one of the highest selling jerseys last year because he became a Laker. What was his numbers in terms of jersey sales prior to him joining the Lakers? Right? But then this year, Stephen Curry ran away with it, which is, I mean, like, that's that. I think LeBron not making a team and Stephen Curry making a team as a starter is just as big as a story. Steph is a star. He's a starter. A starter. So what that says to me about their audiences are Steph probably has more organic fans. Maybe those numbers that you're looking at, those 200 million are all inflated numbers, and then maybe they're not real. You know, maybe cosmetically it looks appealing to see 200 million or 147 or 154 million followers. But in reality, how many of these people are engaging? Steph certainly seems to have a lot of engagement from his supporters for the fact that they voted him as a starter. And LeBron is saying, man, look, if I don't make the All-Star game, I'm going to be resting. Right? If I'm not making the All-Star game, I'll be resting. If I'm there, he'll show up, but he's not going to play. Right? And someone brought up a good point about Vince Carter giving up his spot for Jordan's because Jordan had made it clear that was his last year. I think if LeBron had made it clear that this was his last year, maybe an all-star would step up and do that. But he still has to be voted as an all-star by the coaches. And I was listening to some sound yesterday. I think it was from Eddie TV or I forgot the channel where Tracy McGrady said he doesn't believe LeBron's an all-star this year. So we have to wait and now if he doesn't make the all-star game at all, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm just so surprised at the amount of disrespect that LeBron has been receiving, man. I'm really, really, really surprised because it never used to be like this. You got people like Kevin Garnett coming out here talking about don't vote that old to the All-Star game. You got Kevin Garnett coming out here and saying that. You got Tracy McGrady talking about he's not an all-star. It's just like one thing after the other. I'm like, yo, what's going on, daddy? Then you got the NBA fans not voting him in as a starter. What are we doing? What are we doing? Just when you thought the disrespect was going to stop, it doesn't. I came across an article this morning from Fadeaway World highlighting some comments of former analyst, ESPN analyst Zach Lowe. Let me read the title for you. It says, Zach Lowe names 12 American players better than LeBron James right now. Before I even get into his article, let me say this. Do you understand what he's saying? We all know he didn't even say NBA players. He said 12 American players. And we know that international players are better. So he's talking about like 15, 16 players that he believes are better than LeBron. Ladies, you cannot make it up. Let's continue on. Let's hear what Zach has to say. Los Angeles Lakers superstar LeBron James has rebounded well from a slow start to the season, but the Ringer Zach Lowe thinks a fair few players have surpassed him by now. On the latest episode of the Zach Lowe Show, Lowe disagreed with ESPN Dave McMenamin's assertion about LeBron being one of the 12 best American players in the NBA today. Here we go. I think that's just not true anymore, Lowe said. I'm just going through the all-star roster right now. That's where I'm starting. Cade Cunningham, that's one. Brunson, Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, all been better than LeBron this season. LeBron's played 24 games. His defense is what you would expect from a 41-year-old. Donovan Mitchell's been better. Lowe continued. Scotty Barnes has been Jalen Johnson has been better. That's 7. Stephen Curry's been better. 8. Anthony Edwards has been better. 9. Kevin Durant has been better. 10. I think probably Devin Booker has been better. That's 11. I think Chet Holmgren has been better. That's 12. We haven't even gotten to Kawhi Leonard, Lowe added. This is like maximum giving LeBron the benefit of the doubt. Maximum. Like, well, if you're talking about for one game, a game 7 or of the finals. McMenamin stated, that in response to James not being voted as a starter for the All-Star game for the first time in 21 years, there is now some doubt about whether he will even make the roster. What are my thoughts about this? He didn't even name the foreign players. He didn't mention Joker. He didn't mention SGA. He didn't mention Giannis. He didn't mention Luka Doncic. If you throw them in, this guy is talking about like potentially 20 players being better than LeBron James, right? Or LeBron being a top 20 or whatever this player. What are my thoughts about what Zach said? It's not so much the list. It's the fact that a Zach Lowe can even say this. Now, maybe this is how Lowe has thought over the last few years, but given the fact that he works for ESPN, he hasn't been able to be as candid as he is now in these with these quotes here, right? Because at ESPN, let's be for real, you got to twerk it up. All they do up at ESPN is sit up there and twerk it up all over the tables, pour honey all over each other's backs, slap each other with honey sticks, holler and scream, gyrate, shake, move at that network. We all know this. The twerkation is just out of control, man. It's out of control at ESPN. All they do is twerk it up. Twerk it up at that network. And Lowe used to be a serial twerker. Let's not get it twisted here. Now, maybe he's out of the building and they let him out. He's loose. But Zach Lowe used to twerk it up on ESPN too. Don't let these comments fool you now. He's a twerker. So to hear him talk about 12 American players better than LeBron, you think he would say that on ESPN airwaves? Of course not. There's no way. There's no way whatsoever. So to me, man, I think his comments represent a shift. Again, I keep talking about it. A shift. I still can't believe that LeBron with 200 million followers, 200 million, none of all of these honey slapping, twerking ass LeBron fans voted him in as an all-star. Not even 1 million, not even, look, for LeBron, they have gotten 1% of his voters out of the 1 million vote. He would have needed 0.5% of those people to vote for him. Not even a full percent, because 1% out of 100 million, what, 1 million, right? 0.5%, 0.5 up. They didn't even vote. What are y'all doing? Put the honey down and go vote. What the hell is going on? Y'all let LeBron James down, man. What is going on, you twerking ass LeBron supporters? What were y'all doing? Were y'all busy twerking? What's going on? And then we're hearing that his son got 2 NBA votes. You can't make this up. We are literally living in the twilight zone. Bronny got 62,800 votes. 62,000 people call themselves NBA fans that voted for Bronny James. 62,000 people watch Bronny play and say, you know what? What? I think he's an all-star. Yeah, I think so too. Let's vote for him. What? 62,000 people sat down, got themselves a jar of honey and said, you know what? We're going to do the right thing and vote for Bronny James. I mean, this must be done. We have to do the right thing. It's unreal. It's unbelievable. So now there are 12 players. Oh, LeBron fans, what are y'all going to do, man? What are y'all going to do?